Telesales vibes maneuver the jet ski. Cause I serve a god that parted the Red Sea. Multi-million-dollar commercials for Pepsi. From food stamps to...
What is going on, YouTube gang? I am back at you guys with another video. So I am going to try to do these on a more frequent basis, and just give more frequent updates of you know how my sales went through the week. Try to make it more consistent. What? So they might not be big updates, they might be smaller, quicker updates, but just things that I've learned. Okay, I'll give you more in a little bit, okay, Damaris? Alright, I'll give you more in a little bit. You finish these ones first, okay? So, this week I dialed, you know, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are kind of days that I can dial. And, like 3 hours Wednesday, like, you know, 2 hours on Thursday, maybe hour and a half on Friday. My dials were not good, right? Were really, really bad. And they were really scattered, really spread out. And so my tip this week is, well, first of all, I made an $80 a month sale, which, you know, is about $1,000 in premium. I was dialing with my group again, so I go and I sit down in a place where other people are doing it, and that's been really helping. These guys are ballers that I dial with, and they've been really helpful and like giving me advice and stuff. And keeping me motivated. But one thing that, you know, I should do better is I shouldn't, you know, scattering my dials, having like a few hours here, a few hours there is a terrible way to do it. You need to chunk your dial session. So it's instead of having like 2 on different days, it's much better to have 6 hours chunked away to dial so you can sit down and focus and really get in the zone. So that's what I'm gonna do going forward. Next week I'm gonna try to do that instead. Is just have a chunk of a long dial session, instead of breaking it up. Your focus is much better. You get into the zone, you get into flow. It's way better to dial like that, and those guys recommend that as well. All right, number two, the other thing that I learned this week is when you're making a sale, don't assume that something is too expensive for someone, right? And I've heard other people say this before, but it's really true, and I got to experience it kind of firsthand. What happened, Sebastian? Oliver, what did you do to him? No hit. What was I saying? So yeah, don't. Let's see. Oh, don't make assumptions. So you know, I've got a final expense. The leads that I do are targeted towards final expense. I got a guy that was doing mortgage protection. You know, he had a daughter that he really cared about. Wanted the daughter to live in the house. He was 72 years old, and so at that age, you're gonna get really expensive policies. I quoted this guy $300 a month. In my mind, I was thinking, no way he's gonna say yes to a $300 a month policy, because I was used to doing like little rinky-dink policies, like $80 a month, $70 a month, $100 a month, but $300 a month I wasn't used to, especially with the final expense crowd. But he said, yeah. He said, oh, that sounds all right. And so I was shocked when he said that. But in my mind, I was thinking, ooh, that's way too expensive. That's too expensive. And so I ended up killing the sale. I ended up saying, and you know, we can adjust that any way you want. I said, if you want less, we can adjust it to make it $250 a month, and you would get, you know, 9 months of protection instead of 12 months of protection and payment. And when I did that, it planted a seed of doubt in his mind, and he said I had to talk to my daughter. He said, oh, you know what? Let me talk to my daughter about it. And because I was not confident, because my you know, it comes off in the sale, right? My tone. The people that I dial with, they tell me that my tone is completely different when I get this doubt. Well, good job, Maris. When I sound doubtful, when I'm not confident. Okay. Good job. Okay. Okay. How's that? Yeah. Okay, good. Here, why don't you take this? No, okay. But yeah, so don't make assumptions that things are too expensive for people, because oftentimes they can't afford it. I ended up killing the sale. He said, let me talk to my daughter. Yeah, it was just not a good way of doing it, right? I ended up confusing him when I switched it, right? If I would have just $300 a month, he said yes, I would have just went forward with it. It would have been fine. It would have been a $3,600 commission. But I didn't get that, just because I was doubtful, so don't do that. Number three, the third tip that I have for you, something that's really worked well for me, is connecting, building rapport with a client. Because I've heard a lot of people, several, you know, high-level salespeople, and this might work for them. You know, they say, get down to business. You're the authority. You go in, right? You get right down to business. You get right down to, you know, finding the problem, quoting the numbers, and just moving it along. For me, I work a lot better building the connection and building rapport with them in the beginning. So I'm a really big fan of like, every fact that they drop, everything that they tell me, I'm from this place, right? My parents are this, I have this many kids. That's like a little hook, a little conversational hook. And I will latch on the hook and kind of expand on it. And that really helps me, like, you know, number one, I build the connection with them, and I feel like that kind of covers up for a lot of flaws in my ability to sell, because it's not very good. But I feel like once I've built that rapport with them, they want to buy, and that's happened, right? Like the guy that I sold the policy to, he literally said, you know, you're really easy to talk to, and I ended up selling him. Oh, hold on, Damaris, don't get over there. So building the rapport is really important. The other thing is, stop, Damaris. I find that if you drop these conversational hooks and you learn. Stop it. Will you stop it? Oh. And you learn about them. It really helps you figure out what's important to them. Like if you talk about their grandkids, and you notice that they really expand and talk about their grandkids. Like, do they play any sports? And they get real excited and talk a lot about one subject. You know what's important to them, and it helps you. You can latch onto that, right? And kind of use that as the reason to sell something to them. And so, you know, it has that effect. The other effect that I notice it has on me is when I build rapport with someone, it makes me really care about them, right? Like in sales, if you can put their best interest first, it really helps you sell. And when I build rapport with somebody, it really helps me put their interest first because I care about them, right? I think to myself, I don't even care if I sell them. I just want to make sure I give them the right thing or direct them, you know, to the best decision they can make, right? So building rapport with them psychologically helped me actually become a better salesperson because of that. So I really like that. Let's see. Okay, number 4. The fourth thing I want to talk about is you know, as a part-timer, it's very, very, very important. I cannot stress this enough to get good quality leads, right? For me, I found that when I used to get leads that were bad, I would have to dial. I have to spend my, you know, hours and hours and hours dialing, and I wouldn't get people on the phone. Now, you know, I would say it's like 30 to 50 people I will make a sale because I have good leads. I've got good leads, and because I'm limited in time as a part-timer, get leads that are good and don't overspend on them. A lot of people are talking about buying more leads and spending more money on leads. Don't do that. Make sure you know how much you're spending on leads. Don't overspend on them. And yeah, you should get good leads if you're doing it part-time. Now granted, I'm not putting enough time dialing myself, right? Like, I'm not doing a good job spending a lot of time dialing. I should be selling more, but as a part-timer, you need to make sure you're buying good leads and not spending too much time just, you know, dialing and not talking to anybody. And I said, you know, careful not to overspend. You know, for me, like, I'm generating my own leads on Facebook, and if I know I get like a nice chunk of time to dial the next day, I will crank up my lead spend for the day, like $100 a day, crank it up, and then I'll get a bunch of fresh leads and then dial those. I've noticed that, like, when I get these leads, if I dial them within a couple hours, really, really good response rate. If I dial them, you know, 1 or 2 days, it drops off. And if I dial them like several weeks out, like 3-4 weeks out, it's a huge drop off. So getting these fresh leads and then like the time that it takes for you to dial them is really, really important. And when you buy crappy leads that have been sitting there for a long time, you don't get that. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. But yeah, that's my spiel for the day. If you guys have any questions, as always, please let me know. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll talk to you guys later.
I don't gotta talk, the Lord defends me. I watch them all fall for going against me. Cause me and all my